Welcome to the Detroit Lions Morning Rounds podcast, also found on YouTube. You can also find the segment frequently on the Detroit Lions on the Prowl YouTube channel, so check them out. Lions, Panthers, Wednesday injury report. Let's start with the Panthers. Teddy Bridgewater has an MCL sprain coming into this game. He had a limited practice on Wednesday, which suggests there's a pretty good chance he plays on Sunday. Christian McCaffrey is already ruled out for our game. On to the Lions. The big question is Kenny Golladay. Go back to episode 25 for a video analysis of why I think he likely has a left hip flexor strain, which is typically a 2 to 4 week injury. Julio Jones had the same injury, was back in 2 weeks. Currently, Kenny Golladay is 2.5 weeks out from the injury. He had a LP on Wednesday, which is great news. However, he has not had any practices the 2 weeks prior, which means I think he's still likely out for the Panthers game. But this does make the Thanksgiving game in 8 days a possibility, though, against the Texans. Keep a close eye on his reports over the next couple days. Now, one thing we need to keep in mind regarding his return from injury is his contract situation a factor? He's in the last year of his contract, has not signed a contract extension yet. He may go into free agency in the offseason, although I think very likely the Lions are going to franchise tag him. Now, being in the last year of a player's contract can certainly affect how willing they are to play through an injury. And this is in no way a criticism of the player. This is simply the real world, the business of the NFL. A very recent example of this is the David Bakhtiari situation. Lions fans are all very familiar with this guy, left tackle for the Packers. You know, the hands to the face guy. He's got 3 or 4 faces on his upper chest area. Well, he had a rib fracture in week 6. Sat out week 7, 8, and 9. The day before week 10, on the Saturday, he signed a 4-year extension worth up to $105.5 million. He played the very next day on Sunday. Coincidence that he signed a big extension right before he came back? Probably not. There are a couple of reasons why a player would be wanting to sit out a little bit longer if he's headed toward possible free agency. Number one, he doesn't want to put on bad tape because he's playing through an injury. Other teams, when they look at the tape, aren't going to know how injured he is. They're going to assume he's 100% and ready to go. Any kind of bad tape is bad tape and could affect his contract in free agency. Number two, the player doesn't want to develop a compensation injury because he's trying to play through an injury. This could lead to injury effects lasting into the offseason, which could affect a future contract. So maybe we see Golladay get a big extension right before his first game back with the Lions after this hip flexor injury. Let's keep an eye on that. Danny Amendola injured himself in the fourth quarter. Did not see much on the video. He's NP with a hip injury. He could have the same hip flexor injury as Golladay. Again, this is likely a 2 to 4 week injury. He could be back in 2 weeks like Julio Jones in 2017, or it could be a little bit longer. Austin Bryant, NP. He played until the last defensive play, looked fine, so he should be fine for the game. Marvin Jones, NP, with a knee. He made the final catch of the game for the Lions with 3 seconds left to set up Prater's bomb to win the game, so he should be fine for the game. Stafford, as we know, had the thumb injury. Look at my last video for a full analysis of that. Likely or possibly a ulnar collateral ligament sprain of mild severity. He had an NP, but he is going to play in Sunday's game. No concerns there. TJ Hockenson, LP, he played until the final offensive play against Washington. He should be fine. Vaitai, an LP, he missed last game against Washington, which I supported. He's been having a foot issue for much of the season. He probably should sit out at least another week, give that foot a chance to rest until he's really close to 100%. Jamal Agnew had a rib injury in the Colts game. Go back to episode 25 for analysis of that. He landed on the ball, left upper chest, possible rib contusion or fracture. Generally, a rib fracture is not a serious issue. Players can play through that. It's not any kind of long-term injury unless there's a pneumothorax or multiple fractures, which could cause a flail chest. That's when part of the chest wall is floating, not attached to the rest of the chest, and it's making it difficult for you to breathe. This may be what's going on with Drew Brees currently, which is why he's going to miss multiple weeks. But Agnew, with a full practice on Wednesday, he should be back for the game. You may see him wear a flak jacket, though, for a little while. Now, a quick COVID update here. Tom Pelissero reported today on Wednesday that the NFL is putting all teams in intensive protocol for the rest of the season starting on Saturday. This means all meetings are virtual or in large spaces, and there are mandatory masks or mouth shields in practice. I've been advocating for something like this for a while now. I think the NFL needs to curtail practices, make it so that there are no close contacts at all during the week. If they need to sacrifice practices completely, go ahead and do so. Let's just get these games played. That's what fans care about. That's what I care about. As long as the teams are on a mostly level playing field, I don't see an issue. We all know this year is a crazy year. If we need to sacrifice practices, I think that's fine. I don't think it's going to hurt the product on the field much, if at all. Fans just want to see the season played and concluded. All right. Feel free to leave comments on my YouTube channel or Twitter @JimmyLealMD. Thanks.